Hey, welcome back. I had the day off today. I had to take my uncle to have a small surgical procedure, so I did that this morning, and there's no time to haul logs this afternoon, so I figured I would come up here to the wood yard, get some firewood cut. Was supposed to rent a firewood processor this weekend. Was actually supposed to rent it last weekend, but it was a brand new one that the guy had ordered and it hadn't come in yet. Came in this week, and while he was running it, putting it through its paces and stuff to make sure everything was good, he broke it, and he's not going to have the parts until next week. In the meantime, we have some orders we have to fill, so we're doing it the old-fashioned way with a chainsaw and a splitter this weekend, and hopefully we can rent the processor next week. Check the oil in this thing before we start it. Yeah, it's full. Good. I didn't bring any oil with me to put in it if it needed some anyways, so that works. Shouldn't need the glow plugs today. I'll go back to the pickup and grab the saw. Man, what a beautiful day. My wife's gonna be mad. I'm up here cutting wood and running her tractor without her. Oh yeah, that's pretty special right there. Yeah, all that oil leaked out of this thing. That's a bitch. I got this 572 here, but it's a good saw, but I have an issue with it leaking oil all the damn time, and I don't know why. I've turned the oil pump down on it, and it's just, the oil pukes out of this thing. When I first got it, it was really bad. Like, if the saw was warm, you would literally dump the oil in, and you could watch it run right out down here while you were dumping it in. And if you take this off, there's another metal plate behind here where there is, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a cone-shaped rubber thing that is has an opening on the end, and it is supposed to be a breather, so it lets air go in, but it's supposed to stop the oil from coming out. And that rubber piece was not in there when I bought the saw, which I guess was a pretty common thing for these things to be assembled without that. But I don't know why it leaks oil so friggin' bad. It's pretty annoying. It's all over the back of the inside of my truck and the bed. And yeah, if anybody knows, has experience with this, just shoot me something in the comments if it's something that you were able to fix. Get some gas in this thing. And more oil now. There wasn't much gas in it. I still have oil, but boy, you wouldn't think so looking at the bed of my truck. Looked like I left it all right there. Gonna have to get some more chainsaw gas here too. before long. Be curious to see. We cut wood for a couple hours last night, and I don't really have a good idea as to what's there. To me, it looks like about 1.5 cords, but I don't know. I started using this stick, 16-inch stick, because I need to get my measurements pretty accurate. I've never sold wood before. I've always just cut my own, and for friends, and as long as it was close to 18, nobody cared. But if you're gonna ask somebody to pay for something, it should be the best that you can make it. So in the past, I used these zip ties on my handle, like Chris from In the Woodyard. I think that's his name, Chris. I don't know, I'm terrible with names. I watch his channel a lot, but he used those, and it does work okay. But I found that my links, unless I actually brought the handle up to the piece of wood, I found that my links were still, you know, an inch either side of 18 inches. So some were 17, some were 19. And like I said, if it's just for me or a family member or something, I don't care. But if you sell somebody 16-inch wood to go in their fireplace or their stove, and 18 inches don't fit, well, they're probably going to be a little upset when you send them 18-inch pieces of wood. Understandably so. But anyway, my point of all that was using this stick does take more time, which is kind of, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, right? But I did order one of those, they call it a Pro Sizer laser that clamps onto your bar, and essentially it shoots a laser beam. You can adjust it so whatever length from the tip of your bar, put the laser beam on the edge of your cut or where your next piece is going to be cut. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be accurate, because I would imagine if you move the saw like this a little bit, it's going to, yeah, it'll be off if you're not square to the log. Hard to describe, but I'll make a video on it when it shows up and show you how bad I frigged that thing up. So I don't know, I guess we'll get cutting. I think that's going to do it for that side. I don't want to be lugging wood too far from the splitter. I mean, no, I can always push it up with the tractor if I have to, but I don't want to get a bunch of dirt and stuff in it either. And I'd like to fill up that side of the splitter so we can work off both sides. But my tractor is about out of fuel, so I'm gonna have to go fetch some of that. Also, I would like to say that, in case you couldn't tell, I am new at making these videos, so they probably kind of suck at first. Anybody has any advice on how I can improve the quality, let me know, because I don't want to make crappy videos. I want to make something that somebody wants to watch. So anybody that knows how to do that, feel free to let me know. These forks are not ideal for doing this. I mean, they work all right, but they can sometimes, if the wood is crisscrossed a little bit, it can be kind of tricky. I don't know, having shorter forks would be better, easier. Try to get that little one off of there without losing them both, and that's not going to happen, so that's alright. See if I can just grab that first one by itself. That one was balanced pretty well. I'll leave that one on the bottom for my wife. She sometimes struggles. She's still new at hydraulics and machinery and all that stuff, so not picking on her. She does fine, but things where if you're not used to how things work, it can be pretty difficult. Not saying I'm a master, but I've run equipment most of my life, so of some kind or other. Yeah, that's probably enough. So that's what we got so far. This side was 2 hours of cutting yesterday, and I cut up a couple more pieces in that, and then this was, I don't know, about an hour and a half cutting today. Not sure how much is here, and I'm probably not gonna really get an accurate measure because we're just splitting all this into the bin. But I don't know, I'd like to think there's 4 cords between these 2 piles. It's hard to tell, but I don't know, we'll find out. Making a pretty good dent on the log pile, but not as good as I had hoped for this weekend. Well, we can't get that processor, but that's all right. It's next weekend, and I got more wood to bring in, so we'll be sure and have plenty for the processor when it shows up. And we'll come back tomorrow and split some for a while.